Today, we're taking a deep dive into the legacy of Star Trek
Sounds great.
and focusing specifically on the original series.
The one that started it all.
Exactly. It premiered back in 1966.
Right in the heart of the Cold War.
And amidst all that tension, it offered a vision of hope.
A utopian future that captivated audiences.
But to understand its impact, we need to go back to the sci-fi scene of the 60s.
What was science fiction like on TV back then?
Yeah, paint us a picture.
Imagine turning on your TV, black and white of course.
No fancy HD back then.
You'd see shows like Lost in Space or Flash Gordon.
Fun, but not exactly deep. Right?
Yeah, more adventure than substance.
Then you had shows like The Twilight Zone.
Amazing stories, thought-provoking.
But each episode was a standalone thing.
No recurring characters or ongoing narrative.
And that's where Star Trek came in.
It bridged those two worlds, you see.
So we got both engaging characters and thought-provoking stories.
Exactly. They brought in top science fiction writers.
Really? Like who?
Names like Richard Matheson, Harlan Ellison,
Wow, those are big names.
and Theodore Sturgeon, just to name a few.
So they were serious about the writing.
Absolutely. And it showed. In 1968, the Hugo Award.
For Best Dramatic Presentation, right?
Yeah, it was basically a five-way race between different Star Trek episodes.
Talk about critical acclaim. Okay, so we've got this unique blend.
Of action and intellect.
But what really set Star Trek apart was its utopian vision.
Especially considering the context of the time.
Right? The world was a pretty tense place back then.
The threat of nuclear war loomed large.
And social inequalities were fueling unrest.
Dystopian narratives were everywhere.
Like what?
Books like Slaughterhouse-Five, Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, not exactly cheerful stuff.
And then Star Trek bursts onto the scene.
Offering this radically different vision.
Exactly. They dared to imagine a future where humanity had overcome its problems.
No more war, poverty, or prejudice.
People from all backgrounds working together.
Even different planets.
It was a powerful message of hope.
And that resonated with audiences, huh?
Deeply. It was a stark contrast to the prevailing pessimism.
Like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, and it wasn't just about the storylines.
It extended to the casting as well.
Absolutely. The diversity of the crew was groundbreaking.
You had Uhura, a black woman in a position of authority.
Sulu, a Japanese-American helmsman right after World War II.
And Spock, half human, half alien.
Challenging our very definition of what it means to be human.
And remember, this was during the Civil Rights Movement.
Racial tensions were high.
Anti-Asian sentiment was still prevalent.
And interracial marriage was illegal in many states.
In fact, just a year before Star Trek premiered.
The Supreme Court ruled on Loving v. Virginia.
Which finally legalized interracial marriage nationwide.
So to have a show like Star Trek showcasing this level of diversity.
It was a bold statement.
Absolutely, and it didn't stop there. Do you know about the original pilot episode?
Oh, tell me.
They actually had a woman as second in command. Though it was changed for the series, that initial vision says a lot.
About their commitment to pushing boundaries.
Yeah, they wanted to challenge those traditional roles.
So we have the utopian vision, a diverse cast, and top-notch writers.
What else?
Well, what about the show itself?
The production value. Star Trek had one of the highest per-episode budgets.
For a 60s show.
Absolutely. Detailed sets, intricate models, and those special effects.
It really raised the bar.
They were committed to creating a believable world.
And it shows. It's aged remarkably well.
But all that quality came at a cost, unfortunately.
You mean their eventual cancellation?
Yeah, after just 3 seasons.
A real shame.
But even in that short time, it left a lasting impact.
We'll delve deeper into that impact.
And explore the show's ability to tackle social issues.
But first, a quick break.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the legacy of Star Trek.
It's amazing how much ground we covered in the first part.
And we've only just begun to scratch the surface.
Well, let's keep digging. You mentioned Star Trek's ability to tackle social issues.
Yes, they didn't shy away from those tough topics.
And they did it in a way that was both thought-provoking and entertaining.
Exactly. Like that episode, The Measure of a Man.
Oh yeah, with Data.
It really makes you question what it means to be human.
Especially in today's world with AI advancing so rapidly.
It raises all sorts of ethical questions.
About sentience, consciousness, rights.
Things we're still grappling with today.
Another episode that comes to mind is A Taste of Armageddon.
Where they're fighting a virtual war with very real consequences.
Yeah, that simulated war was pretty chilling.
It's a powerful commentary on the dehumanizing effects of technology.
Makes you think about the consequences of our actions.
Even when they're mediated through technology.
It wasn't all doom and gloom, right?
Oh, absolutely not. Star Trek also knew how to have fun.
There were plenty of lighthearted episodes, too.
And a good dose of humor sprinkled throughout.
It's that balance that makes it so engaging.
They could make you think and make you laugh.
Speaking of things that make you think, let's talk about their futuristic technology.
Ah, the gadgets and gizmos of the 23rd century.
Did they get anything right about how we'd be living in the 21st century?
That's a fascinating question. They certainly predicted some things.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Well, think about communication. Star Trek showed us a world where people from all over the galaxy could connect instantly.
And we have the internet now, connecting people across continents.
Exactly. It's like their version of subspace communication.
And social media takes it even further,
allowing us to share our lives and experiences with the world.
It's amazing to see how Star Trek's vision of a connected world is becoming a reality.
It's truly remarkable how technology has evolved.
What about space exploration? They were boldly going where no one had gone before.
And we've made some strides in that area, too.
Not quite warp speed yet, but...
We've sent probes to distant planets, landed rovers on Mars.
And there's the International Space Station.
A permanent human presence in space. It's incredible.
So, the spirit of exploration is alive and well.
Absolutely. We're not at warp drive yet.
I'm still holding out hope for that one.
But we're making progress. Who knows what the future holds?
Okay. So they got some things right, but what about the things they got wrong?
Yes. There were some misses along the way.
Like what? What didn't pan out as they predicted?
Well, for one, their vision of a post-scarcity society.
Where money was irrelevant and resources were abundant.
That hasn't quite materialized.
Yeah, we're still dealing with economic disparity and resource scarcity.
Those problems are a bit more complex than they envisioned.
I guess even in the 23rd century, some things are hard to solve.
Another area where their predictions haven't quite matched reality is artificial intelligence.
You mean with data and the ship's computer being so benevolent?
Exactly. While AI is advancing rapidly, we're still grappling with the ethical implications.
And the idea of truly sentient machines is still largely in the realm of science fiction.
We haven't quite reached that level of sophistication yet.
So, Star Trek's vision of the future is a mixed bag.
Some hits, some misses.
But one thing's for sure, they made us think.
About the possibilities, the challenges, the ethical dilemmas.
And that's what good science fiction does.
It pushes the boundaries of our imagination.
It makes us question our assumptions.
It inspires us to strive for a better future.
And speaking of a better future, Star Trek gave us more than just technological predictions.
They also provided us with a set of values.
Values like diversity, inclusion, peace, cooperation.
Principles that are just as relevant today as they were back then.
Maybe even more so.
It's a reminder that building a better future isn't just about technological advancements.
It's about creating a society that values those principles. So what can we learn from Star Trek in a practical sense?
How can we apply those values to our lives today?
That's a great question and a perfect segue into the final part of our deep dive,
where we'll explore the enduring lessons of Star Trek and how they can guide us towards a more just and equitable future.
I'm ready to be inspired. And we're back for the final leg of our Star Trek journey.
Ready to warp speed into those lasting lessons.
Absolutely. It's easy to get lost in the sci-fi spectacle.
The gadgets, the aliens, the adventures.
But what enduring wisdom does Star Trek offer us today?
Well, one of the most striking themes is its belief in humanity's potential.
Potential for what?
For good. Remember, this was the Cold War era.
Lots of fear and uncertainty.
Yet Star Trek imagined a future where we'd overcome our differences.
Working together for the common good.
Exactly. It was a bold message of optimism.
And a powerful one, considering the times.
So, lesson 1, don't lose faith in humanity.
We have the capacity for great things.
Even if it doesn't always seem that way.
Okay, what else?
Diversity and inclusion. Star Trek showcased a future
where everyone had a seat at the table,
regardless of their background, culture, even species.
And they didn't just show diverse faces.
They highlighted the value of different perspectives.
The richness that comes from inclusivity.
A vital lesson in today's interconnected world.
So lesson 2, embrace diversity. It makes us stronger.
Agreed. Now let's talk conflict resolution.
Star Trek wasn't afraid to show conflict.
But they always emphasized diplomacy.
Finding peaceful solutions.
Think of Captain Kirk, always willing to talk things out.
Even with his enemies.
A master of communication and de-escalation.
It's a reminder that there's always another way.
Violence shouldn't be the first resort.
So lesson 3, seek peaceful resolutions. It's the Star Trek way.
Absolutely. Now, here's one that might surprise you.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
Curiosity and the pursuit of knowledge.
You mean like exploring strange new worlds?
Exactly. That drive to learn, to expand our understanding.
And they weren't just exploring space.
They were exploring ideas, cultures, different ways of thinking.
Always pushing the boundaries of knowledge.
That thirst for knowledge is something we can all cultivate.
So lesson 4, never stop exploring, keep that curiosity alive.
Right. And it all leads to one final, crucial lesson.
Okay, lay it on me.
Hope. Star Trek, despite showing challenges, never lost sight of hope.
A belief in a better future.
Even in the face of adversity.
A powerful message, especially in tough times.
So, lesson 5, never give up hope. It's the fuel that keeps us going.
5 powerful lessons from a show that premiered over half a century ago.
It's amazing how relevant they still are.
Star Trek gave us a roadmap for a better future.
A set of values to guide us.
And a reminder that we have the power to shape our destiny.
What would a world that truly embodied those values look like?
That's a great question to ponder.
And as we wrap up our deep dive,
Remember to live long and prosper.